Have you ever looked at a group of people and realized there isn't just like one typical look? Some populations seem to defy a simple description, what they call it. Well, today we're taking a deep dive into Belarus. It's often called the heart of Eastern Europe, and trust me, its people present a truly striking blend of physical traits. Our sources for this deep dive, we've got a stack of scientific studies, historical accounts, even cultural commentaries. They paint this vivid picture of a country that has really been a crossroads. You can almost see its genetic story visibly etched into its people's eyes, skin, hair. So our mission today is to cut through the noise, give you the essential insights, and help you understand how centuries of history, geography, and, constant migration have shaped the remarkable and diverse appearance of Belarusians. It's a fascinating blend, and we're here to help you get, well, really well informed about it.
What's truly compelling here is exactly that idea. The Belarusians often present a variety in their appearance that kind of catches outsiders by surprise. And this isn't just random genetic drift, it's a visible living narrative. If you imagine a nation standing right at the intersection of Europe's great civilizations, well, you start to get the picture, the visible story in every face. We'll be looking at everything from genetic studies to historical records, and even getting into those, sometimes quite lively, debates about what it actually means to look Belarusian.
All right, let's delve deeper then. Let's start with a physical trait that our scientists found to be, well, incredibly telling: eye color. What the studies reveal is quite striking. We found that around 50 to 55% of Belarusians have blue or gray eyes. That percentage really stands out globally. Then there's another big chunk, about 30 to 35%, with green or hazel eyes, which leaves only about, 15 to 20% with darker brown eyes. That's a pretty remarkable distribution.
It absolutely is. And if we connect this to the broader regional picture, this pattern lines up with the wider East Slavic world. Think Ukrainians and Russians. But Belarus really distinguishes itself with an exceptionally high proportion of gray eyes. That's a very strong indicator of Baltic ancestry.
Ah, okay. Baltic.
Yeah, the genetic studies from 2017, for instance, they don't just lump Belarusians in with other Slavs, they actually cluster them closer to Lithuanians and Latvians than they do to Poles. This strongly suggests that centuries of Baltic influence, especially in their northern forests, played a really profound role in shaping this particular trait. It's almost iconic, like their eyes hold a historical echo.
So those gray eyes are like a direct link to that Baltic past. That's a powerful connection. Okay, what about skin tone? Our sources suggest Belarus sits firmly in the fair skin category. We're talking roughly 80% of Belarusians having very light to fair skin, which makes sense, right? An adaptation to the low sunlight up there.
Indeed, it's a classic adaptation. And this brings up an interesting nuance. While that 80% is mostly fair, about 15% of the population show sort of beige or rosy undertones. But what's particularly noteworthy, I think, is that about 5% exhibit warmer, maybe more olive hues.
Really? 5%? Where do you see that more?
You see those more frequently in the southern regions, the parts bordering Ukraine. And this subtle spectrum, it sometimes sparks online discussions. You have some people saying Belarusians are among the fairest Europeans, while others rightly point to those southern populations who often look more like Ukrainians. It complicates any idea of a single uniform look.
Right.
It just really showcases the influence of different geographic paths and genetic streams all converging in one place.
That slight variation, north versus south, really paints that picture of a crossroads, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk stature. How tall are Belarusians on average?
They stand tall, definitely, but maybe not the very, very top globally. A 2019 demographic survey we looked at found the average Belarusian man is around 178 centimeters. It's about 5'10", and women average 165 centimeters, so 5'5". This is almost identical to their Polish and Russian neighbors.
So similar to neighbors, but maybe slightly shorter than folks further north, like the Dutch.
Exactly. Slightly shorter than Northern Europeans, like the Dutch. And this shift in stature over time is actually a fascinating little insight into how quickly environmental factors like nutrition can visibly rewrite a population's physical story. Often faster than genetics alone. It's like a living timeline.
That's a great point about nutrition. So traditional Belarusian diets, I'm thinking lots of potatoes, rye, dairy, pork. They provided energy, sure, but maybe not the same protein diversity you'd find in, say, Mediterranean diets.
That's generally right. Lots of energy, but perhaps less variety in proteins historically. But that's changing now, isn't it?
It seems so.
Absolutely. And the good news is, with much better access to a wider variety of foods today, younger Belarusians are noticeably taller than previous generations. This isn't just, a statistical blip. It points to a really profound and positive shift. Improved health and nutrition are directly impacting their physical development. It's a visible marker of societal change.
It's fascinating how diet can literally reshape a population in just a few generations. Okay, moving from diet to appearance, hair color. Another vivid reminder, apparently, of Belarus's position between Baltic and Slavic worlds.
Indeed, you see about 45–50% of Belarusians with light brown or blonde hair. That's especially common in the north and west of the country.
Okay, almost half.
Then about 40% have darker brown or near black shades. And maybe 5–7% are true blonde.
And what about red hair? I know it's rare, but sometimes seen as iconic.
Yeah, it's rare, maybe 2–3%. But it pops up, and it's often tied to specific Celtic and Baltic genetic markers, hints of ancient migrations, really.
And it's not just the color, but the texture, too, right? I understand there's variation there as well.
Correct. Mostly straight hair. That accounts for about 70% of people. But then you have about 25% with wavy hair, and a distinct 5% or so with naturally curly hair. And what's interesting there is that curly hair seems to appear more often in southern Belarus.
Oh, why is that?
Well, it likely reflects genetic blending with what are called steppe populations, those nomadic groups from the Eurasian grasslands who moved through the region historically. And of course, centuries of contact with Ukrainians who also share some of those genetic threads.
Oh.
So, yeah, you could say each strand of hair really does tell part of the story.
It's incredible. So many layers of history literally woven into their physical appearance. Okay, so when we pull all these threads together, eyes, skin, hair, height, what does this all mean for their facial features? Anthropologists, as you said, don't describe one typical face, but more of a spectrum.
Exactly. A spectrum is the right word. If you look towards the northern regions, you'll often see narrower faces, maybe more pronounced high cheekbones, and those very distinctive gray eyes we talked about.
Right, the Baltic influence again.
Strongly reflecting that Baltic ancestry, yes. But then, as you move towards the central and southern parts of Belarus, you tend to see rounder faces, maybe fuller lips, softer profiles overall. These features link them more directly to the broader East Slavic population.
Okay.
And it's so important to remember the history here. Belarus was part of the Grand Duchy of Lithuania, then the huge Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, later the Russian Empire. Each of these powerful states, through conquest, migration, settlement, you name it, left distinct genetic and cultural imprints.
Yeah.
And that's what created the visual diversity we see today, even within a relatively small country.
So it's like a living tapestry of empires. And you can actually see this playing out in everyday life, can't you? Let's try and picture it. Imagine walking through a busy metro station in Minsk. You might see a tall young guy with that kind of ash blonde hair and striking pale blue eyes, right? And then right past him walks a woman with darker chestnut hair and warm hazel eyes. Both are unmistakably Belarusian, but their differences are really striking. Or maybe picture a traditional wedding down in Brest, near the Polish border. You'd likely see cousins with those sharper, maybe more Baltic-looking cheekbones, standing right next to relatives with that softer, more Slavic roundness.
Yeah.
Their differences are clear, but that shared heritage is obviously stronger. These moments really make Belarus's diversity not just stats on a page, but something visible, human, and alive.
Those examples really hit home, don't they? How it's not just theoretical. And that brings us neatly to the genetic studies from 2017 that basically confirm all this. They found that Belarusians are, as you'd expect, closely related to Russians, Ukrainians, and Poles. But, and this is significant, they also carry a substantial amount of Baltic DNA.
Okay, so break that down a bit. What kind of percentages are we talking about?
Sure. When we talk about these ancestral groups, we're looking at roughly 60–65% East Slavic. That's mainly links to modern-day Russia and Ukraine. Then about 20–25% Baltic, connecting them genetically to Lithuania and Latvia. And then maybe 10–15% Central European ancestry, which covers broader influences from places like Poland and, well, beyond. These aren't just vague labels, they're the actual genetic building blocks.
That's a fantastic clarification, thanks. So what we're really saying is a Belarusian might look quite different depending on where in Belarus their family is from, because those genetic ingredients are sort of distributed regionally.
Precisely. That really explains why Belarusians often pop up as a kind of bridge population on genetic maps. You could have a blonde-haired, gray-eyed Belarusian from Minsk, for instance, who might easily resemble someone from Lithuania, while, say, a darker-haired Belarusian from Gomel, down in the south, could look much closer to a Ukrainian. This intricate genetic balance just reflects centuries of shifting borders, constant cultural blending, migrations. It makes them a visible testament to their geography and its incredibly complex history.
which inevitably brings us to a more sensitive area.
Yes, this immediately prompts us to consider a fascinating and sometimes quite contentious aspect.
Yeah.
The question of what Belarusians should look like. This often becomes deeply political.
Oh, so?
Well, this is where the debate can intensify. For example, you see some nationalist narratives that describe Belarusians as the purest Slavs. They emphasize fair skin, blue eyes, using these traits as national symbols to promote a very specific, maybe narrow vision of ethnic purity.
Okay, so that's one perspective. And what about the opposing viewpoints? Are there other ways people frame this?
Oh, absolutely. Others argue quite passionately that Belarus's diversity is its actual true heritage. They point to those long-standing historical connections with Poles, Lithuanians, even the significant historical Jewish communities in the region. Our sources highlight how, in times of political tension with Russia, for example, those lighter Baltic features might be celebrated as distinctly European, a way to differentiate themselves. But then, in other contexts, maybe when emphasizing kinship with Russia, the shared Slavic features get highlighted instead. This whole dynamic really reflects Belarus's incredibly complex identity. It's a nation often caught between East and West, frequently defined more by external forces or politics than by a single internal vision.
And it's important we state we're just reporting what the sources say here, not taking any sides ourselves.
Exactly. We're simply presenting the viewpoints found in the source materials. It's crucial for understanding the context. And this complex interplay of history and genetics means that appearance becomes more than just, physical traits for Belarusians. It's been intrinsically tied to their survival, their politics. Under Soviet rule, for instance, they were largely presented as just part of a bigger, sort of undifferentiated Soviet people. It was a deliberate move to erase distinct regional and ethnic differences. Today, though, in a time of contested identity and renewed national self-discovery, Belarusians are wrestling with that fundamental question. Are we primarily Slavs? Are we definitively Europeans? Or are we something more nuanced, something in between? Their varied looks really reflect this tension. It's a visible, living reminder of history's powerful shaping hand. You could say this emotional journey, from identity suppression to a sort of cautious, emerging pride, mirrors how many Belarusians view themselves now. Complex, layered, and definitely not easy to define by any single label or look.
It really seems clear that Belarusians embody that paradox of borderlands. They were isolated enough, maybe through geography or historical circumstances, to keep certain unique traits,
Right.
yet open enough to absorb and integrate influences from pretty much every direction.
Exactly. Well put. They carry those distinct Baltic gray eyes alongside a certain Slavic softness and features, and that clear Central European variety mixed in. Their skin ranges from porcelain fair to hints of olive. Their hair from classic blonde to rich black. Their facial features from angular to round. Every single trait reflects countless migrations, the rise and fall of empires, centuries of just surviving uncontested land.
So let's bring it all together. What's the main takeaway here? Why do Belarusians look so different from one another, and often so different from simple Slavic or European box people might try to put them in?
I think the essential insight, the thing to really grasp, is that their diversity isn't accidental. It's not a bug. It's a feature. It's a profound, visible consequence of their specific place in history. So next time you meet someone from Belarus, maybe you're in Minsk or Vilnius, Warsaw, or even further abroad, just take a moment to notice those details. The gray eyes maybe, the tall frames, the subtle variations in skin and hair you might see. Each face really is a story. It's a story of Slavs, yes, but also of Balts, and of the many empires that passed through their homeland. And maybe that's the thought we want to leave you with, something to mull over. Belarusians don't look so different in spite of their complex history. They look so different, so beautifully varied, precisely because of it. Think about that.